The Haunting of Hill House is a 1959 Gothic horror novel written by Shirley Jackson. It's considered a classic and one of the best ghost stories of the 20th century. I think we've all heard the name at least, recently thanks to the Netflix adaptation for a lot of people, which came out a few years ago. I've always known it as the House of Haunted Hill, probably thanks to the black and white Vincent Price movie of the same name based on Jackson's novel, which I saw years ago. So in terms of story, the plot of this book, which now is considered perhaps the archetype quintessential plot outline of its kind, involves a group of different people with some kind of connection to potentially supernatural events that have happened to them in their past, being invited to an apparently haunted house by a researcher, Dr. Montauk, who has rented the place out. Only two people actually accept Dr. Montauk's invitation: a forward, extroverted woman called Theodora and a shy young woman called Eleanor, who resents having lived something of a secluded life due to having to look after her demanding, disabled mother for a significant portion of her life. And she's pretty much the protagonist of this book, with much of it being told from her perspective. Luke Sanderson, the young heir to the house, accompanies the trio, as does the wife of Dr. Montauk and her companion Arthur Parker later on. The group experience, study and take notes of spooky occurrences such as strange noises, ghosts patrolling the corridors, unseen entities thumping on doors at night, and creepy writings on walls. They're entertained as much as they are scared, positively inquisitive and curious, which makes a nice change from the usually hysterical and shit-scared characters you get in movies and books of this kind. And it's interesting that Eleanor seems to encounter more spooky situations than the rest. In fact, she starts to experience things that the others don't. And slowly, the more you read, the more you get an impression that something might not be quite right with our protagonist. Maybe some of the occurrences are actually occurring in her own head. Numerous bizarre thoughts and actions on the part of Eleanor suggest that she might have severe mental issues as a result of her past, which are manifesting. Or maybe rather the house, evil by nature, is playing on her issues and insecurities, much like Stephen King's The Shining. The continuing discoveries of Hill House coincide with the unravelling of Eleanor. The book actually reminded me of another by Jackson I've read and reviewed on the channel called We've Always Lived in the Castle, which is told through the point of view from two girls who live in an old house and are despised by the local village. But the more you read, you get the sense that there is something not quite right with the two sisters. And I came away from the book regarding it as something of a surprising tale about witches, only told from their point of view. The Haunting of Hill House never goes that far, but comparisons to We've Always Lived in the Castle do make sense with regards to the very interesting character of Eleanor, perhaps more interesting than Hill House itself. There are many moments where you do a double take and you have to reread a paragraph, thinking, wait, did Eleanor really just say that to herself? Did she just mention wanting to bash in the heads of her companions? Things like that. The book does provide some scares, in particular one creepy scene where Theodora and Eleanor are clinging to each other as something makes its way across the hall to their room, and proceeds to bang repeatedly to be let in. And another where the two are holding hands amid another terrifying nighttime occurrence, and Eleanor gets up and realizes that Theodora is on the other side of the room, and there's a chilling line where she thinks to herself, who or what was holding her hand? The book also contains a very memorable ending. Whereas other novels of this kind often struggle by bringing around a satisfying conclusion, Haunting of Hill House seems to be driving at full speed towards its memorable, thought-provoking and stunning conclusion, with the anticipation building and building just before the incident as you start to realize what's happening. It's a very good book, I was entertained by it, but it does perhaps suffer at the hands of its own legacy and reputation in that without context, I just thought it was a very good book, nothing much more.